I'm American British. I was born in Cairo, Egypt, and when I was 2 months old, I was on a plane and never stopped since then. My parents were working globally, and the formative years of my childhood, the first 8 years, I spent them within an Italian expatriate community in Somalia. After that, I lived throughout the globe, every corner of the globe save Latin America. Home for me is Washington, D.C. and London, England. My parents, both my parents, wanted me to become a doctor. I was quite academically inclined, and this is what they instilled in me, that they needed me to become a doctor. I loved the profession, but it was not what I wanted to be. I actually wanted to be somewhere in international business or following international affairs. My route to law was quite unconventional and untraditional. I led a very global international career. I had a full-fledged career in international development, working on behalf of the US State Department, USAID, the IMF, and World Bank. I traveled around the globe working in various development sectors and areas: women in development, micro-lending, finance, environment, infrastructure. And one of my last assignments was in Afghanistan. I was in my early 30s, and the title of the project was Rebuilding Agricultural Markets in Afghanistan. RAMP was short for the name of the project. It transformed my life. It was a milestone in my life. You're going to a country where women were not supposed to be seen or be in the workforce, because it was just right after the US intervened in Afghanistan in 2001, and my assignment was there between 2003 and 2004. We went into Afghanistan for rebuilding the economy. So it was tough being there at a young age, handling such a large responsibility, different culture, different language, and high profile, because obviously a project with that magnitude was under a lot of scrutiny. Is it meeting its goals and delivering the impact that it is supposed to deliver, and so forth. And it was quite a highly pressurized work environment, where you had to be aware of any lockdowns or when you need to evacuate, and aware also of a lot of security and cultural issues. The first traumatic event that happened, I was medevaced back to Washington, D.C., and I was given the option whether to go back to the field or not, and I chose to go back to the field after I spent a few weeks of healing. The second event was when I started losing my vision, and I also went through a quick succession of losses. Some of my colleagues were kidnapped for ransom. Some of the local staff and expatriate staff died. I lost my mentor. It was too much to bear. And I was going through my divorce at the same time. So all of a sudden, I felt that I lost everything. The exposure to international arbitration during my work with Chemonics International made me realize the importance of international businesses, and why a lot of international businesses choose English law as the law of the contract, and choose the courts in England and Wales as the choice of jurisdiction. And this is why, when I thought about what is considered really a new beginning for me from all aspects, is rather than doing international law in New York or Washington, I preferred to come to the source. It was quite a difficult time. I have to say, I did not receive full support from my family and friends, because they thought I'm absolutely crazy to leave my safe haven, my support network, under such trying circumstances. For me, it was fairly important to prove to myself that I'm able to still depend on myself, that I'm still able to lead my own life, to travel across the globe, and that my brain still can achieve and continue. I was accepted to do LLM in International Comparative Dispute Resolution at Queen Mary University of London. I loved what the law nurtured in me without my knowing unconsciously. It nurtured this sense of the advocate in me, and at some point this is what I wanted to become. I wanted to become actually to qualify as a barrister and follow within the international arbitration theme. But as my vision got worse and I became formally registered blind in November 2006, I just needed to be realistic, and I decided to pursue the law to qualify as a solicitor. It wasn't, again, an easy path at all, because at the time when I was doing my GDL and LPC, the credit crunch happened, and law firms left and right were deferring all of their new intake, and for me, I wasn't really an appealing profile for any global law firm. I was old, mature, disabled, and from a foreign land. A whole lot of things happened while I was waiting to start my training contract and after my training contract. In 2011, the shock came with my being diagnosed with Stickler syndrome type 2, which causes vision loss, hearing loss, and affects the body. Obviously, the firm knew everything about my various disabilities and post-traumatic stress disorder and fibromyalgia, and hearing loss, vision loss, and all of that. At that time, I did not have my guide dog, Cora, with me. I was using a white cane. And I needed to get adjusted to the place. Also, I felt a sense of responsibility that I have to be proactive and help put my colleagues and my clients at ease at the beginning. And I developed a very brief sheet called Tips for Interaction with Katya. Katya is my nickname. And it had 3 sections, very brief. These are my disabilities, this is how I cope with them, and this is how we can work together. I use magnification software to read. I can see still colors and patterns, so I use these in order to find things very quickly. I did not need to learn Braille had I lost my vision maybe 30, 40 years ago. That was the only thing that was available. These days, technology has made our life really much easier in coping with vision loss or hearing loss or other things. I use digital recorder in recording my meetings, and I make sure the clients are aware of that. It doesn't stop me at all from traveling abroad for attending meetings with my clients or presenting at conferences. I travel also with my guide dog. It's absolutely fine. So it doesn't stop me at all. And in the last 3.5 years, I changed practice areas, and I've been practicing as a technology, media, and telecommunications lawyer. I love it. I enjoy it tremendously, and because of all that change that this practice area offer. And when I joined CMS, I formed CMS ENABLE Disability and Wellbeing Network. It's been functioning for almost 6 years now, serving both the staff and clients. I serve also on the United Nations Stakeholder Group for Persons with Disabilities, and next year we are celebrating in the UK the 25th anniversary of the DDA, the Disability Discrimination Act, which came right before the Equality Act 2010. It's also fairly important. So 2020 is going to be a massive year for women and persons with disabilities in particular. The law as a profession, you only need your analytical skills and a pristine brain for it. So no disabilities would be a deterrent for one to become a great lawyer.